Peace, family. Peace, 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 peace. All right. So, as you see the title, okay, he wanted a divorce and I did not. Before we get into the video, my name is Dina Bryan. I do these inspirational videos. Well, lately I've been doing DIYs and but if you want your energy to feel a certain type of way, honey, you can always count on me, okay? To do a video about the time where as though I went through a divorce and I did not want to go through it. I did not want to get the divorce. And although I knew the relationship, it wasn't working, the marriage wasn't working, I still didn't want to get it. Okay, so it took place in the year of 2007. Okay, June 2007 to be exact. Okay, honey, look how I was. Okay, honey, Betty. Okay, still is. Okay, honey, my heyday. Okay, right here. And so, I remember it was like yesterday. It was my oldest son and my oldest daughter. Okay, at that time I had 2 children, and I have 4. But at that time, my oldest children, they was going to this festival, okay, from the school that they attended at the time, and it was a transitional program that I was in, and the reason being was because I had nowhere to go. Okay, I just got at a toxic relationship. The guy was abusive, mental, physically, verbal. Honey, he was abusive. Okay, and I just got out of that relationship, and I didn't have anywhere to go, so I started staying in this program in Jersey City downtown. Okay, and I stayed there so me and my children could have Section 8. Okay, you stay there for 16 months and then you get Section 8. So, as I was there, okay, on this one particular day, since it was a festival that my children was a part of, it was like the Chalk Fest Festival. After I picked my children up, okay, my son and daughter. Okay, this was the picture of my son, honey. It happened on this day. Okay, I couldn't find no pictures of my oldest daughter. I don't know. Somebody must be went through this book and was just taking pictures out. Okay, but anywho, so it was me and one of my homegirls. We was together. And the idea was to take our children to the park, okay? And downtown Jersey City is like very gentrified, okay? Like, you know, is people with money, okay? And I was grateful, honey, to be around there, okay? Living in that transitional housing program, because it opened my eyes to the possibilities, okay? You guys know I believe in manifestation. Okay, get back to it. All right, so me and my homegirl, we went to this bodega, right? And when I walked in, I just seen this guy who was like, mwah. He looked so good. I would have to say he was like, out of all the guys I dated, he was the best looking guy. And at that time, I mainly went based upon looks, okay? Tall, like about 6'2", like a little darker than me. He was, you know, had nice texture hair. You know, it was just something about him, okay? And I remember I had went and brought a soda, right? A CNC soda, a CNC. Okay, you from the hood, you know me, okay? But I went and brought a CNC soda and I put it to the counter. And I noticed when he was giving me my change, I held my hand out like this and he was like holding it. And I just was looking at him and we made eye contact. And I knew it was like a connection, but I was like, I'm not, asking him like whatever, because I was real shy at that time, honey. And another thing, I don't believe in going up to guys and asking them, do they want to get to know me and all that other stuff. I don't know. I just feel weird about that. So anywho, my homegirl who I was with, she was like, me and her left the store, and I was like, girl, you saved him. And she was like, girl, right? And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, go give him my number. And she was like, Dina, you want me to give him your number? And I was like, yeah, just give it to him. And she was like, all right, I'm going to go do it. And so she gave him my number. But when she came back, I was like, what he say? And she was like, he said, like, why didn't you give him your number? Like, why you send me in there? So I was like, girl, it's all right. I ain't care. So me and my homegirl got to the park. And we was just talking about him. And I was like, you think he gonna call me? And she was like, yeah. And then, ho behold, he had called me. And man was talking and stuff, like getting to know one another. And it was going good. Very, very good. And I let him know in the beginning, I was like, at times I could have an attitude, right? And I guess when he thought of attitude, he just was like, it ain't gonna be too big. Because he was like, he could have an attitude too. And so I always kept that in the back of my mind, right? And remember, what you focus on grows, okay? Remember that. So anywho, later on, it was like a few days later, me and him went to the park. The relationship, it was moving quick, like real rapid. And I remember me and him went to the park because he would play basketball. And he was 6'2", okay? All right? So he would play basketball. I remember normally he would give me his phone for me to hold it. But this one particular day, he didn't give it to me. And I noticed, like, you start paying attention, like, and especially since I got out of that other relationship where the guy was a liar, a cheater, and all this other stuff. But lesson learned, and I'm grateful I did go through that relationship. But I started paying attention, like, why you ain't give me your phone, right? So when he got finished playing basketball, I was like, why you ain't give me your phone when you was playing basketball? I knew something was up. And he was like, oh, because it was one of his exes that was calling him. And I was like, well, maybe you and her still talk because, like, it seemed like you was trying to hide something. So me and him talked, and everything was good. Then what I noticed was he was very, very smart. Like, I mean, very smart. Book-wise smart. He was funny. He was handsome. He was charming. He was just, it. But I remember now he was 21, and at the time I think I was about 25 or 23, something around here, honey. Never quote me on the time or the ages, okay? And so I asked him because I thought it was weird, like he didn't have his driver's license and he was like so bright. And so I asked him because I had a friend who was from Ghana, who was from Africa. And I know when my friend didn't have his driver's license, that meant that he didn't have his papers, okay? Like he didn't have his citizenship to be, in this country. Me and him, he was like, I tell you when I get home. Like he ain't want to tell me, face to face. And so I was like, all right, whatever. So I already put two and two together. When he called me over the phone, I was like, oh, well, I know you don't have your papers, right? And he was like, no. He was like, he told me the story about his mother. He didn't have citizenship until he went to college. And his mother, like he needed his social to get like this scholarship or something. And his mother was like, oh, you can't, there's no social, like she just basically told him like what was going on and stuff. Which I didn't understand because I said, in order to get there, but whatever. Okay, so anywho, I know his grandmother had filed for him when he was a kid, when he was 12 years old. So yeah, so that's like, okay, I found that out later. And so, well, they actually that day. And so time went on, and I still stayed with him because I was like, I want to help you. Like, he was such a hard worker, and I really, really had feelings for him. Like, I mean, like, strong feelings. And so we got married after being together for 9 months. Okay, when I told you it moved rapidly, honey, the relationship was rapid. Okay, no, I think we was together for a year, and we was married. We got married in April. And then we got a divorce in November. Okay. And since it was a short period of time, it was an annulment, right? His lawyer did an annulment. But when he wanted to get a divorce, like, we would have these arguments. And I didn't know, but I would be nitpicking because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, like, how could you love me, right? And I didn't think it was true. Like, he really had feelings for me and stuff. Being that I just came out of a relationship that was toxic, and then from my childhood, you know, experiencing abandonment, and then him and his situation, and I just thought, like, oh, I'd be able to, you know, help him because I really like him. But when you don't deal with your stuff, okay, and when you keep on focusing on how you grew up and your ex relationship, okay, well, your last relationship, all those things, they start affecting your current relationship. And so that's pretty much what happened. And I remember, because I would kick him out. Like, when we would get into arguments, I would kick him out. I would be like, no, you know what, you could get out and all this other stuff. And what I realized, that comes from experiencing abandonment, thinking that the person is gonna leave anyway. So you like, you know what, I'ma just do it for you before you leave me and hurt me. Okay. And so enough was enough. I guess he had enough, and he just was like, I'm not going through this no more. And I remember when he asked for the divorce, honey, I was hurt. I cried. I was hurt. I even was like threatening him, like, I'm gonna take some pills, whatever, because I was just devastated. And I thought that relationship, that marriage, even though it was short, I thought that's who I was, right? Like, me being his wife and, you know, things of that nature. Like, I was hurt. And he was like really good with my children and stuff. And I just was like very devastated. And I remember he would call my grandmother. Like, when me and him would get into arguments a lot. And I remember I spoke to my grandmother, my mother's mother. And my grandmother basically was like, you better stop, you know, arguing with this boy so much. And he's going to wind up leaving. And I didn't know. See, when you do something for so long, or like I said, if you don't deal with your stuff, your baggage, and if you didn't get the lesson from your previous relationship, all that goes into your next relationship. So it's important you get over your ex so you could be on to the next, okay? But you have to get over your ex. And I didn't understand that. I just was like, you know, this guy, I like him, and, you know, but it was very toxic. And it was programming. I would say stuff that was like really, really hurtful. And I remember he said to me, he was like, you say whatever, you know, certain things you just can't take back. And I think for him, it was like the whole trust thing. And I didn't trust him because I didn't even trust myself, right? I just came out of a relationship that was like toxic as hell. So I didn't even trust my damn self at that time. And so, I remember he had started staying down south, okay, because we was living in New Jersey, but then he moved down south, and he was just staying there for a little while. And then I remember he came back, and this was the reason he came back, because I wasn't calling him, I wasn't texting him. Like, I started, getting back in a rhythm, enjoying my life, doing things for me, paying attention, more so focusing on my children. And I remember he called me. He was like, he wanted to come back. And I was like, all right. So I let him come back, honey. Because I was thinking, I was like, maybe this time going to be different. And when he came back, I felt like he didn't want to be there. Like, even though he came back, he asked if he could come back. I felt like he didn't want to be there. And I remember he asked me, he was like, do you want to move down south with me? And I was like, move down south? I was like, I don't even trust you up here. If you could leave me up here, you would leave me down south. So I was like, I'm not doing it. And so he came on a Friday, I remember. And then Monday morning he left. He was like, he didn't want to stay in New Jersey. He just was like, he ain't want to live there no more. So he was like, he was going to be living down south. And I cried and I cried and I cried. I was devastated. I was hurt. And so how I got over it, it took me a while, like, to get over it. Even in relationships that I got into after that, the divorce, the annulment, I still was, thinking about the possibilities of me and him possibly getting back together. But it took me a while, like, to get over it. And at times I would call him and we would talk and stuff. And then I found out, like, he got married. He got remarried probably like a year or two later, I want to say. But at this time, he did have his papers and stuff like that. So how do you get over it? Well, one, time, okay? Time. Also, you got to understand that you are the creator of your own happiness. And so for a long time, what I didn't understand was I was looking for the guys I was dating to make me happy. But when you are filling your cup and when you know how to make yourself happy, your expectations for someone else is not going to be crazy. And it's not going to be like, well, you don't know how to make me happy, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. No, because you learn how to make yourself happy, okay? 3, focus on you. Focus on you. Yeah, you love the person, but you have to focus on you. Like, I had to focus on me. I had to start getting the lessons on why it didn't work. I had to go deep. I had to start making a connection with my childhood, okay, to understand that I had issues. I had issues where as though I didn't trust, right? And not so much the person, because I know a lot of times we say, oh, I don't trust them. It's not so much you don't trust them. It's that you don't trust yourself to know when it's time for you to leave. Is you don't trust yourself to see the red flags when they are clearly showing themselves, okay? And that was mainly it. That was mainly it. So, also, you cannot make somebody stay if they don't want to stay. Like, you just can't. You cannot make somebody stay if they do not want to stay. And if they do stay out of, like, they really don't want to be there, they're going to have so much resentment towards you. So I remember my aunt was like, because at first I was like, I ain't signing these divorce papers. And my aunt was like, Dina, you cannot make him stay if he don't want to stay, if he don't want to be there. So my aunt told me, she was like, if it was me, I'd just sign the papers. And the fear of me signing the papers, why I was afraid to sign them, because I was like, I won't get nobody else like him, right? Someone that's going to love my children and someone that's going to love me. Like, I wouldn't get anybody like him. And that's not true. That is not true. It's all according to what you say to yourself. But it's not true. You will find somebody better than that person that you are going through the divorce with. You will. But what I realize is you also have to become better. You also have to become different. You also have to get the lessons that the universe is conveying to you. Okay? And so with that being said, I hope you guys got something from this. My whole purpose of this video was to let the person that's going through the divorce understand life is not over. It's just that chapter in your life, or is that marriage is over. And be excited, because oftentimes the reason why you are afraid also is because it's new. Right now you got to do that other person may not, he ain't living with you, or she ain't living with you no more. So you got to go through the whole thing of, getting back to yourself. And although it may seem scary, but honey, if it wasn't for that relationship, for that divorce, honey, how you gonna meet your B.I.D. sweetie? How you gonna meet your next? Now, I know you probably like, girl, I ain't thinking about no next. I ain't thinking about it. But that's okay. You don't have to be thinking about it. Okay? But focus more on you. And you deserve it. You deserve love. You deserve happiness. You deserve abundance. Right? You deserve it. So, while you trying to make somebody stay who don't want to be there, it's almost like you letting yourself down from possibilities of someone new coming into your life. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.